everybody! So I recently sat down with Crystal over Zoom to do her mid-year book freakout tag. I think I'll mention in the Zoom call, but we're hoping to get off these Zoom videos soon, so thank you for bearing with us. But without further ado, let's check in with Crystal.
Hi everybody! So I'm here with Crystal. It's going to be Crystal's mid-year book freakout tag. The happy news is, as early as next week, we might be in our new office, which means no more Zoom videos. We understand it's not the best quality, but soon we can hopefully be in person again. But you're gonna bear with us for a couple more videos here, and we're gonna get into Crystal's mid-year check-in. You ready? All right, so the first question is, what is the best book you've read so far this year?
It was a tie, and I don't have either of them. I haven't had a chance to pick them up for myself yet. But that is The Authenticity Project by Claire Poole, I believe. I'll pop up a photo. I listened to the audiobook. I've been seeing it on Instagram and stuff a lot. And I just loved it. I don't know if it is just an absolutely wonderful book or it's just what I needed at the time that I read it.
Right.
It's like interwoven stories about a group of people who live in London, and they just, through this guy, sorry, it's been a couple months, but it was
good.
But they just, their lives just end up being connected through this journal, this green journal labeled The Authenticity Project, where people just like spill their feelings when they have, as if someone will read it, but they don't know who, and then they just place for somebody else to pick up. And the characters were just so easy to identify with and seemed realistic, authentic. And yeah, there's a couple twists, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I like the way that it turned out at the end. And the other one is New Kid by Jerry Craft, the middle grade graphic novel that came out earlier last year. The sequel's coming out this summer, or is out now. But it was just a fantastic middle grade thing that everyone should read. It was so good.
Yeah, I'm actually in the middle of reading that one right now.
I read it, I think, in one night when I should have been sleeping, which is becoming the norm. And when I closed it, I just held it and stared at it. Didn't even know what to say. It was just so good. Yeah, it should be required reading for many people.
Yeah, I agree. So it's delightful. Okay, so the next question is the best sequel you've read so far this year.
This was a tough choice because I read 8. Yeah, I've read either like the direct sequel to something, or like the next book in a long series, or like a novella tucked into the series. It's like a 1.5 kind of story. But I think I'm going to have to go with Arlo Finch and The Kingdom of Shadows. It was a super fast read. It was a great end to the series. I always say that John August, you can tell that he writes for cinema because his pacing is so good. Like as soon as you get to the end of a chapter, you're just like, oh, I can't stop here. I need to keep going. And yeah, it was just a really fun adventure where they go to, spoiler free, they go to find his dad, and then they have to go through the magical forest to do so. And all the characters and adventures they come across on the way are just so visual and so cool that it was a really, really fun adventure. So I think of the 8 kind of follow-ups that I've read, I'm gonna have to say that one's my favorite.
Nice. Okay, so next up we have a new release that you haven't read yet but want to.
That is My Calamity Jane by the Lady Janies. So the third in the Janie series. I don't know what to call it. I think it's been in my cart a couple times, but I've been trying to hold back on buying new books right away because I think I need them when they'll still be there and I have more money later.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to like a funny Western.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really fun to read. And full disclosure, I haven't actually read My Lady Jane. I think I started it a few years ago, but I got busy around Christmas time. But My Plain Jane was like one of my favorite books that year. It was so good. So I'm looking forward to
it's so fun.
her humor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so next up we have your most anticipated release for the second half of the year.
That will be Queen of Oats by Amanda Foody, the third in the Shadow Game series. Mostly because A, I love the series and it's great, and 2, I've buddy read all of these books with 2 other friends, so we're all really looking forward to the third one, and just a buddy read book club is the best experience to read a book, really. So.
And those comes out in September?
I think so, yeah. We're
not long now.
Yeah. Not long from now, but also give it to me. Yeah, that will be one where I won't be holding off buying it. Like, I'm surprised I haven't pre-ordered it. I probably should, just so I don't forget.
Yeah. Okay, so next up is your biggest disappointment.
That was a graphic novel called I Am Not Okay With This by Charles Forsman. I watched the series that Netflix did for this. And the Netflix series I binged over like a couple days. It was a really short, quick series, and it was okay. I liked some of the characters, but it kind of felt like a web series where you're given just enough information to move on, but you're not really going anywhere. So after that, I was like, oh, source material. I should read that and see what it's like. It was like the worst thing I read this year.
Oh no.
Like it at all. Like I don't know if maybe I had read it before watching something, would I have liked it better? But part of me tells me, no, I think I would have. It's about this girl who has special powers. Telekinetic, I guess. She can I'm gonna say telekinetic. And she, her family's not so great. Like, a few of the characters were fleshed out a bit more in the TV series, which I really enjoyed. But when it came down to like a bare bones story, it was super bare bones. I'm like, I don't care about any of you at all, which is unfortunate because it's a nice little independent graphic novel. And yeah, I just, no.
Didn't click?
Not happening.
Fair enough. A happier question. What has been the biggest surprise?
That, for me, is a play that I read, and that is Amadeus by Peter Schaefer. I didn't know it was a play. I saw the movie in like 5th grade, and then like 12 years ago, 13 years ago, again. And I always thought it was just like a Mozart movie, but it's a Salieri movie. Like, his jealousy runs this whole thing, and the play was really addicting and captivating and kind of sucked you in and just getting into his head while learning a little bit. I think it also helps that I read this right after I finished Kingdom of Back. So I was already all Mozart-y and in the zone of Austria and stuff. But it, yeah, I was surprised how easy it was to get into and how much I was gunning to like get finished and really enjoy it. I haven't revisited the movie since, but I did buy it on DVD. But it's 3 hours long, so every time I think to watch it, it's already too late at night, and I'm like,
fair enough.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. It's a really good read.
Cool. Okay, next up we have your favorite new author, which is either a debut author or a new to you author.
This is a new to me author who's been on my radar for a while, but I've never picked up any of his books until now, and that is Anthony Horowitz. I recently read The Word is Murder. Really loved it. I've referenced it in the previous video, or June wrap up, so if you guys can check that out if you want more. Blah, blah. Yeah, I always saw House of Silk and Moriarty on the shelves. He wrote some Sherlock Holmes stories, and he's just always stood out. I think I started listening to the Magpie Murders a couple months ago, but it was just the wrong time to listen to something like that, and I just didn't get into it. But this was great. So now that I've read this, I definitely want to read more of his stuff. I have the sequel to this, and I'll probably give Magpie Murders another try as well. And I also have a book I bought by him called Forever in a Day, which is a James Bond story that I think includes ideas that Ian Fleming had. I got it at the library for like $1. So I was like,
nice.
So yeah, I'm kind of more encouraged to read his stuff now that I've been into one.
Cool. All right. Next up, we have your newest fictional crush.
This is not in something that I read this year, but in a play that I watched this year. And it is Horsey Know from Twelfth Night by William Shakespeare. I think I read the play last year, but I've watched the National Theatre was streaming their production of Twelfth Night this time, spring. I can't speak English. Year, guys. It's been a year. But he's definitely my new favorite fictional crush. I think it has to do with the actor Oliver Chris playing him in the production. I'm just like obsessed. I'll go on YouTube and watch like the scenes that are still there. And I did order a copy from somewhere recently, and it should be here in a couple of weeks. Like a really pretty Barnes and Noble Shakespeare copy. It's got a really pretty cover, so I'm probably gonna read it again just because he's just so great. I love it.
Fair enough. Okay, and then your newest favorite character.
Another Shakespeare character, and that is Barone from Love Labour's Lost. A play I knew nothing about. It was just streaming on YouTube through the Stratford Festival recently. And I'm like, well, what a better time to pick it up. I've always been curious. And despite it, like, it's a play where the king is like, hey, college buddies, why don't you come stay at my, like, castle or estate for 3 years and we're going to study. There's going to be no distractions, no bad food, no girls, no sleeping in and being lazy. And so his 3 friends show up one day, and he had written out this like contract. It's like, sign, we've all agreed to this. And Barone's like, you were serious? I'm not signing that. That's ridiculous. So he kind of like, I don't know. He's just, despite the king being the one making the rules, I feel Barone is the main character. He's like the most outgoing of the 3 friends, and like, I think he just has the biggest role. And yeah, he's just so good, and nobody will like unseat Benedict from, you know, my favorite Shakespeare plays from Much Ado About Nothing, but he's definitely a new character where I'm going to try and find other production versions of that play to try and watch, just because he's so great. He's very funny.
Cool.
I am not finding that. That's it's so good.
Okay. How about now a book that made you cry?
I went through my list and I was like, I must have cried. It's been quite the 6 months for me. I'm sure something tipped me over the edge. But I think the only 2 things that may have been were The Authenticity Project. I'm sure I shed a few tears there. Or The Last True Poets of the Sea, which I read back in January. This was Robbie Reed's, one of our reps. He started a book club, and I think that was his January pick. And I was like, sure. So I gave it a try, took it out from the library, and it was really good. I liked it. And I'm sure there were a few times where I probably cried a couple times because it deals with a lot of stuff. But, yeah, I liked it.
Full disclosure, Robbie, no longer a rep, but a friend.
Oh, well, we still love him.
Yes, we love it. It's true. Okay, a book that made you happy.
Oh, 2 of them. I read, I think I mentioned this in a couple other videos probably, Sal and Gaby Break the Universe and Sal and Gaby Fix the Universe by Carlos Hernandez. The audiobooks are so good and so funny. The books are so fast-paced. They have great messages. And like, just, I love the sense of humor that these kids have. Middle grade series. Both of them are available now. The sequel came out in the spring, I think. Highly recommend the audiobooks. Just something you could listen and suddenly your house is clean because you don't want to stop listening. Laugh out loud funny. I love the like middle grade, not insults, but like ways of saying things without really swearing, I guess. It's like,
right.
There's a scene where Sal's friends stayed the night and Sal did something he shouldn't have done, so he got in trouble from his dad, and they're walking to school the next day, and he's like, your dad really made you a sandwich last night. It's just like, sandwich is this word that they use throughout the series, and I'm like, I love it. I want to bring it into my daily life. Yeah, they're just so amazing. I love them. Yeah.
Nice. And those are on the Rick Riordan imprint, I believe. Yeah. Okay, almost there. What's the most beautiful book you've bought or received so far this year?
That I treated myself to a beautiful copy of Much Ado About Nothing. It's got like these paper layers on the cover, and on the inside there are some scenes where it's like, you know, but they, yeah. I treated myself, and I actually had no idea it was going to be this big when it arrived, so that was really exciting. And there's like a lot of really good introductions and like side notes. Like I think this is before the play even starts, so there's lots of like, illustrations and a bit of history, and they have like nice little sidebar notes to the actual play, so you can understand what he's talking about. But
and
yeah,
who published that?
This is the signature Shakespeare series. There's 4 that they did. They did Much Ado About Nothing, Hamlet, Macbeth, and Romeo and Juliet, and it is by Sterling Signature New York.
All right.
Of Sterling Publishing. Yeah. So I found Hamlet, so I have that one as well. But that one came in with one of the layers missing, but at least they had it inside the book, so I can fix it. And I got my eye on Macbeth, but I haven't fixed it yet. But yeah, I couldn't resist. And it's just so pretty.
It's pretty. All right, final question. What books do you need to read by the end of the year?
So that has to do with one of my 2020 reading goals, is to read more recommended reads. And as it happened, I just saw my friend last night, and he lent me his copy of 100 Years of Solitude. So I'm getting closer to reading it. I have a copy in my hand. So and it's like, oh wow, it's like 400 and some odd pages. It's deceivingly long for a little paperback. I guess the pages are thin. But yeah, this is like top of the bucket list of things that has to be read by the end of the year. Otherwise, I will feel like such a failure.
You can do it. Get the audiobook.
Yeah?
I've read the book, but I haven't listened to the audiobook, but I'm sure it's fine.
I hear there's a lot of similar names in it.
Right.
I wanted a hard copy. Despite how I choose, maybe I will listen to it, but I at least want a copy because I have a feeling I'd be doing a lot of flipping around, being like, who's this one now?
Fair enough.
Like, it will happen.
Nice.
And I also want to read Dune by the end of the year, but this is what I'm using for this prompt. I'm going to read 100 Years of Solitude.
Cool. All right. Well, that was the mid-year book freakout tag. I'm gonna throw it back to in the studio Corey to round out the video, I think. And thanks so much for watching.
See you guys later.
Bye.
Alright, so that was Crystal's mid-year book freakout tag. Let us know what you thought in the comments down below. And if you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe for more. Happy reading and thanks for being awesome. Bye!